Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of ATL Prime Sports. I'm JJ Jurjevich, your host this evening, with the fabulous producer Wayne Ridenauer up there in Memphis, Tennessee. You can find us all on social media at ATL Prime Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a like, a review. That always helps out an old podcaster like ourselves. You can find everybody, again, at ATL Prime Sports. You can find myself at JJ Get You One. You can find our fabulous producer, Wayne, at RWY Jr. and Corder Todd for TC Todd Corder. How you doing tonight, Wayne?
I'm doing pretty good. It's quite a scare Auburn had last night. Looked like they may have lost their top ranking right after they got it. It's a big surprise by Missouri. I would not have expected such a low-scoring game.
Yeah, they came out with a 1-point victory. But hey, the good teams find a way to win. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing a lot better than Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens are, who didn't make the Hall of Fame in their last year of the Baseball Writers Association of America voting. I feel as though they should be in numbers wise, absolutely. But my take on it is this: if Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame, neither should these two. Until Pete Rose gets in, I'm okay with no Bonds and Clemens, but if they get in, hey, I'm all for it. They were great players of the generation. What's on tap for today's show? College basketball's new number one. Should the NFL change overtime rules? And we'll discuss the conference championship, much more, all right here on ATL Prime Sports. Let's go ahead and get into it. We'll do our NFL quick hits right off the bat here. 4 teams remain after a wacky divisional round, and a prominent NFL head coach steps down. That's what we're getting into. Let's start it off with Sean Payton, head coach of the New Orleans Saints, steps away from the organization. Will he coach again? And how does this help or hurt the Atlanta Falcons? I'll start this one off. He steps away after 16 seasons in New Orleans, Louisiana. And he said in his 90-minute presser that retirement is not the right word, said Payton, adding, that's not where my heart is right now in terms of coaching. So he hasn't ruled out that he won't come back. He is only 58 years old. He does have a Super Bowl versus Peyton Manning in 2009. If he gets back into coaching, the Saints do or would have to agree to a trade compensation, as he does have 3 years left on that contract. So Sean Payton, prominent head coach in the NFL, steps down. Wayne, what are your thoughts on that? And you're a Falcons fan. What do you think that does for the Falcons, buddy?
Well, first of all, at first I thought maybe Sean Payton should just retire and go fishing. But it sounds like, based on some of the things that he's saying now, that he wants to go into some broadcasting for a while,
Yeah.
but leaves the door open to go back into coaching. How does this affect the Falcons? I think the Falcons don't need to worry about who they're playing, but more how they're playing. And so I don't think this affects them at all.
Yeah, in the same way, I don't think it affects the Falcons too much in the fact that Sean Payton beat up on the Falcons pretty good the last couple of years. So I think the Falcons have to think, little relief over there. No more Sean Payton, no more choking symbols to Devontae Freeman. We all remember that one in the Thursday night battle a couple years back. But I think it's a move where, you know what, he's had a lot of success. Maybe he feels he's done as much as he can do down there. He has a quarterback issue. Taysom Hill versus Jameis Winston, and what are you going to do with that situation in the offseason? Can Winston come back from a knee injury that required surgery? Taysom Hill, can he turn the corner? He had a hand issue at the end of the season that was really affecting him throwing the deep ball. So I think he steps down at a time that says, you know what? I'm young enough to be able to reevaluate what I did. You mentioned the broadcasting. Maybe he gets into the front office game. And maybe he comes back and coaches the Saints in a couple of years. Who knows? Wayne, any final thoughts on Saints head coach Sean Payton stepping down?
Not really. I start thinking about Jacksonville though, and what are they going to do over there? If he wants to stay down in that area of the country in the nice weather.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's get our thoughts on the divisional round, and we'll get into our conference championship games. Bills Chiefs. They combined for 25 points in the last minute and 54 seconds of that exciting ball game, maybe the most exciting game I have ever seen. And previously on the other day was one of the craziest games I've ever seen in
Yeah.
the Rams and the Bucks. The most exciting game, though, Chiefs Bills. Again, 25 points scored in the last minute 54. The Chiefs tied it up at the end of regulation. They had 13 seconds to do it, a couple timeouts. Then they win it in OT without the Bills offense even taking the field, leading to the question everybody is asking: should NFL change its overtime rules? Wayne, I'll go with you first, buddy.
Uh, I'm okay with the rules how they are, or even if they want to change them, because as long as they're consistent and everybody knows what's going to happen at the beginning of the season and it stays that way throughout the season, then they should play the games based on what they know the rules are.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think so. The Bills coulda, shoulda, woulda in regulation. You let the Chiefs tie it up, going 44 yards in 13 seconds. So you had your chance,
Yeah,
and you didn't execute.
right.
That's number one. Number two, the Bills could have forced a field goal by playing better defense in overtime. You get the ball back.
Yeah,
Because the rule change a handful of years back made it so a touchdown had to be scored on the first possession in order for sudden death to happen. No longer a field goal after the coin toss. So I like NFL overtime. I think it's better than the counterpart in college football, and I think it should stay. I
I,
really like it. But I
yeah,
will close with this. I will close with this. I would not be opposed to the NFL playing out a 10-minute overtime period. Just play it
I,
out. I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But I do like it the way it is right now because it forces defense, offense, special teams, as where college football does not. I really enjoy NFL overtime.
yeah. Well, the bad thing about the college overtime is those games can go on for a long time, and it really wears the fans out, and all the networks start scrambling as to what they're going to do with the shows that are coming up later.
Yeah, and to me, the 2 point play after the second overtime is a little gimmicky. How many 2 point plays do you have in your playbook? Where if you go like the Penn State Illinois game, I think it went 8 or 9
Yeah.
overtimes. At that point, you're just running on sheer what 2 point play can I run now to score? So I'll wrap it up with this. Again, I like the NFL overtime. I think it's just fine. The way it is, it forces teams to play defense, and you can't just go down and kick a field goal and call it a day. You got to score that touchdown, and that's what the Chiefs did. Didn't
Yep.
even give the Bills an opportunity, so I'm okay with it. Any final thoughts on that, Wayne?
Now, I think we've done with that one.
Beat it to a dead horse. I agree. Bengals Titans. Um, 19-16, the Bengals beat the Titans on the first of three walk-off field goals that weekend. Burrow had 348 yards, no touchdowns, did throw a pick, but the player of the game, kicker Evan McPherson, 4 of 4 on field goals. 4 of 4 on field goals. That's pretty impressive. 52 and a 45-yarder to add on to those. Um, and one of them obviously was a win, game-winning kick. But can Joe Burrow do the unthinkable and get the Bengals into the Super Bowl? Wayne, I don't think so this year. I think they need to build a better offensive line to protect him. They are right there without an offensive line. Imagine what they can do with an offensive line. I think they'll be put at that contender level in the NFL next season. But I think the AFC Championship's their last ticket punched. What say you, my friend?
Uh, that I want to ask you a question about that kicker. Was that kicker drafted?
I believe he was
Yeah.
because
Well,
I saw something from the Bengals social media account that said that's why you draft a kicker. So I
yeah.
believe he was drafted. And
Like,
hey, that's why you
it,
do it. You get a
yeah,
good
it
kicker,
counts.
you keep him there for years.
Now, as far as that game goes, I expected the Titans to win. I live in Tennessee. My dad's a Titans fan. My mom pulls for the Titans, but I was kind of a little bit shocked at how that one turned out.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Bengals in the 5th round of last year's NFL draft. He is a NFL All Rookie, along with his teammate in college, Kyle Pitts, right here in
All right.
Atlanta. Rams Bucks again. I think it was the craziest game I've ever seen. This was the 3rd game of the weekend to end with the last second field goal in regulation. Rams beat the Bucks 30-27. Stafford was lights out. He overcame his team's 4 lost fumbles, threw for 366, 2 touchdowns, ran one in. Is this the last time we see Tom Brady, TB12, in a Buccaneers uniform, yet alone a football uniform?
I don't think Tom Brady is ready to retire. If the Bucks will have him, I think he'll play there. As far as where he might go, I've got no clue. But I think he will be playing. The one thing about this game that I will say is I was super excited that Tom Brady was not able to engineer a comeback win because he did it to my Falcons, and he's done it so many other times that when it didn't happen, it was exciting for me, and I was happy about it.
Yeah, it was fun to watch him engineer the comeback. You kind of thought, is he going to do it? Maybe the Falcons are off the hook. Oh, nope, they're not. Rams were able to finish him off, but I'm right there with you. I wanted to see Stafford get another playoff win as a Georgia guy, and also I feel like everybody has downed Stafford his whole career because he played in Detroit, and he's just showing everybody how good of a quarterback he really was. Last game of the weekend, last week, 49ers Packers. 49ers beat the Packers 13-10 on the frozen tundra Lambeau Field. This one also ended with a walk-off field goal in the snow by Robbie Gould. Special teams was very important in this game. A blocked punt for a field goal. So special teams on both ends was huge. Bad for Green Bay, good for San Francisco, who actually only had 212 yards of offense in this game. So pretty impressive that they won the game there. Will this be the last time we see Aaron Rodgers in a Packers uniform after that loss? Wayne, I'll go with you again.
Well, now Rodgers, on the other hand, he looked totally disinterested in this game. I don't think he's going to be back in any type of uniform. I think he's pretty much fed up with it and done. And as far as Garoppolo goes, I think this may have been the coldest game that he has ever played in his career, even going back to college. And I think he may have had a few cold games in college, but I don't think he's ever had an NFL game that was this cold.
Yeah, and he was able to fight
Yeah.
through it and beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau, which has not been easy to do in terms of historically playoff Lambeau Field. Let's go to the conference championship games. The weekend is set. Our quick guide to the games: 3 division winners, 1 wild card remain. That's the 49ers, 3
Yep.
divisional winners. Bengals Chiefs, we'll talk about it first. The 3 o'clock CBS game. Bengals beat the Chiefs 34-31 back in week 17 to clinch the AFC North. Wayne, that was a big win for the Bengals. It really got this run going, and it started the tear of Joe Burrow's passing streak. Guys had a tear. Chiefs must play better defense. Last time they gave up 475 yards against these Bengals. Cornerbacks Ward and Snead are going to have to play better. Tyrann Mathieu questionable going into this game in concussion protocol. He should be good to go, I think. That'll be an X factor. Bengals got to do a better job of protecting Joe Burrow. They gave up 9 sacks, 8 of them in a 4-man rush last weekend. As they did last week, that's not going to help. I should say 9 sacks last week, 8 of them by a 4-man rush. And that's not going to help you win a game this week. Chris Jones got to be licking his chops for this matchup, ready to go against an offensive line that gave up, again, 9 sacks versus the Titans. So he's got to put his hand in the dirt, pin his ears back, and be ready to go on those 3rd and long situations to really affect the game. But really, it comes down to this. Look, you got 2 elite quarterbacks playing, Wayne. A lot of people are thinking this may be the future. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, these may be the three teams that we talk about in the AFC for the near future. Look, 73.2%. That's the number. It's the percentage of completed passes by Joe Burrow in his first two playoff games, which is an NFL record, minimum 50 attempts. That's impressive. That's mind-blowing. And then the other mind-blowing stat that comes into this game. Mahomes has hosted 4 straight AFC championship games. Absolutely unbelievable. I swear the guy hasn't even played on the road in the playoffs. That's eye-opening. Wayne, give me some keys on the Bengals-Chiefs game.
Well, like you said, we're looking at some new quarterback stuff. And one thing I want to say about the AFC is this looks like the turning point when maybe the AFC is starting to retake the lead in, which one of the leagues is the best, the AFC or the NFC, because the NFC has kind of looked like a bit of a train wreck and a mess over the last couple of years, whereas the AFC is steadily gaining ground on them.
Very good point. We'll go to our last game, or any final thoughts on that game, Wayne? Are you ready to go on to the next one, 49ers Rams?
Well, on this game here, all the teams that I had picked last weekend got beat. And so I can watch these games with a little bit of enjoyment without feeling, attached to any of them, except with the Bengals. My stepdad went to school in Cincinnati, and so he's kind of a Bengals fan. The Chiefs, 2 of my wife's cousins live in the western side of Missouri, Keith and Jeff Lofton, and they're huge Kansas City fans. So I've got a reason to pull for that team. But I might just watch it just for the enjoyment of the game.
Should be a good one. Should be a good one. 49ers, Rams, 6:30 p.m. on Fox. Third meeting this season. Rams are 0-2. Hell, Wayne, the Rams are 0-6 in the last 6 meetings versus the 49ers. That's my key to this game. I think the Rams are just due to beat the 49ers. Period. 22 times in NFL history has a team swept the regular season and had a third meeting in the postseason. 14 of those times, the team has completed the sweep. So that's good for the 49ers. Here's another good thing for the 49ers. The latest being not too long ago in 2017 when the Saints completed the 3-game sweep of the Panthers. But here's where the momentum starts shifting back to my Rams pick and why I'm still taking the Rams. Look, in 2020, the Saints lost to the Bucs in their third meeting in the postseason after sweeping the first 2. So I like the Rams. Their D-line must take over. The 49ers are coming off a terrible offensive performance versus the Packers. Again, I mentioned it earlier, just 212 total yards in that game. Also, wide receiver Deebo Samuel and offensive tackle Trenton Williams are beat up. They are both expected to play, but I think Aaron Donald and Von Miller are going to take advantage of the weak offensive line, and I think they get the job done. So there it is. I've already given you one of my pick sixes, kind of a throwaway, a give me, a soft toss, whatever you want to call it here, folks. But again, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, pretty unique pass rush combination. They were able to get 14 quarterback pressures last week alone on Tom Brady between the two of them. Pretty impressive stat. I think that gets it. I think Aaron Donald's the best player in football. He's going to show why Sunday evening and show the world. What do you think about some keys for this game, Wayne?
Well, again, I'm stuck here with these 2 teams, the 49ers, which I've never really been a fan of because of my attraction or fan of the Falcons, and the 49ers used to be in their division a long time ago.
Absolutely.
And the Rams, same way. They were in that same division. And so I've got more ties to this game. I've got one of my wife's cousins, Elijah Beverly, here in Memphis, is a huge 49ers fan. I've never seen him so excited about football. And then Mark Mancini out there on the West Coast has got to be a Rams. He's probably pulling for them. But I'm going to say that the Las Vegas Sportsbook is probably blowing up over this game just because of all the statistics and all of the odds going into it.
Yeah, there's a lot of money being put on the games this weekend. That's our final NFL quick hit. Let's move into college basketball. Wayne, your team is the new number one in men's college basketball in the
Well,
AP poll.
my other team.
Well, your other team, correct?
Yeah.
Not you're number two. You're 1B.
Yeah.
Your B squad.
Yeah.
Auburn's men's basketball is the new number one in college basketball. How far can this team go, Wayne? You're an Auburn fan. Tell us how far you think Bruce Pearl will get these Auburn Tigers.
Listen, he's got in the regular season, he's got one team that could pose trouble, and that's Tennessee, who plays tonight. I don't know what the final score is, but Tennessee is the only team I see. And then once they get into the conference tournament, Auburn has done this before where they've come in at a low seed in that tournament and won the tournament. So anything can happen in that tournament. Once they get to the NCAA tournament, I think you got to watch out for those schools like Richmond, Butler, and Loyola, because one of those Cinderella teams can come up and beat you easily.
Sister Jean, absolutely. Make the sign of the cross as a Catholic boy I am. Look, Auburn's the new number one for a reason. They're 19-1 after their victory over Missouri Tuesday evening. Look, they have four guys average double digits. That's Jabari Smith, the forward. He averages over 15 a game. KD Johnson, the guard, is averaging right at 13, as well as his other guard counterpart, Wendell Green Jr., is right at 13 as well. And Walker Kessler, the forward, is averaging over 10 a game. When you have four guys that are great options to score the basketball, your team can go extremely far. I see a Final Four appearance for Bruce Pearl again with the Auburn Tigers, making them a basketball school. Did I say Auburn a basketball school? Because it looks like that's what's happening. Here, Bruce Pearl has this team poised for a deep run. They're averaging over 80 points a game. That's top 20 in the country, Wayne. So why not? Mark them in the top four if you ask me. They look great. They're running through a pretty good SEC schedule. It's not the easiest. It's not the toughest. But they have played some pretty good out-of-conference opponents and gotten W's there. So I like this team. I think right now they are a strong contender to be the college basketball national champions.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go so far as to say they're in the Final Four, but I will say that they definitely look like a one seed easily.
Hey, it's that's one of the toughest battles. If you get that one seed, you got an easier game in the opening round, and you can work your way, maybe get hot and work your way through it. So that wraps up our college basketball segment. Unless, Wayne, you have any final thoughts on that?
Well, Memphis is going to play East Carolina tomorrow night. It's a really late game, but I'll be down there and cheering them on from the FedEx Forum.
Oh, we'll look forward to the tweets. We always enjoy seeing them. It's so cool seeing that blue court. I really like what Coach Hardaway has done there. The environment there always looks fun, always looks energetic from the fans. So we'll be looking forward to your tweets. Again, you can check those out at RWY Junior on Twitter. If you're a Memphis basketball fan, check them out. You always post some great photos from a season ticket. See where you sit in your season tickets. Let's get into ATL Prime Sports Pick 6. Picking Monday's spreads. We're doing the over-under of both games. We're picking both games, and we're going to do a couple fun prop bets this week. The standings going into one of the final weeks of the NFL Pick 6s we'll do. I'm in first place at 51 and 59 and 2. Todd has taken over second place at 46, 64 and 2. And Wayne is one game behind at 45, 65 and 2 after an 0 and 4 week last week. We both should have at least had one more W tacked onto our belts, but the Bills decided to blunder it away in overtime. So let's go ahead and get to it. The Bengals at the Chiefs. Kansas City's a 7-point favorite in this game. We'll get to the over-under in a second. Wayne, what you got?
I'm going to have to pick the Chiefs to cover in this one. They're playing at home. Mahomes is at home. And, as good as the Bengals are this year, I just don't think that they're going to be able to overcome the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think Mahomes is going to play in a second consecutive Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs cover. I think the Chiefs offense is just too much. I think Chris Jones will be able to get after Joe Burrow, put him on the ground, maybe include a strip sack in there. And I do think the cornerbacks Ward and Snead play a lot better this go around. Chiefs cover. The over-under in that game is 54 and a hook. That's a lot of points for me. I see a lot different of a ball game here. I'm going 27-20 Chiefs. That would be a push if we were all playing the game correctly. But I'm seeing the 27-20, maybe 28-20 type of score, and that's why I'm going with the under there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go under on that also because 54.5 that's an awful lot for this type of game, and I just don't think they're gonna get there.
Folks, if you're looking for TC's picks, they're up here in this general direction. If you like these videos, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let's go on to our third pick. The 49ers at the Rams. LA is a 3.5-point favorites. I'll go with this one. I like the Rams to cover. Again, I've mentioned it the whole show. I think it's just time for the Rams to win a big football game. They got a better quarterback to do it this time. I think Stafford puts it all together, has a great game. I think Aaron Donald plays a great defensive game as well as Von Miller. I think the stars come out to shine in Hollywood and Inglewood, California. And I think the Rams cover. Wayne, what say you, buddy?
Well, I'm going to have to take the 49ers and the points on this one. I think the 49ers are going to win outright. I think that they're going to sweep the Rams.
You know, the numbers are in both directions. As I mentioned earlier, that's a great pick. Again, Todd's picks are up here. The over-under in that game is 46. 46. I'm going over the 46. I think this will be the more high-scoring game this weekend. I think Garoppolo playing in a covered stadium, because remember there was a lightning delay there when the stadium opened, so it's not technically a dome, but in the covered stadium, I think Garoppolo plays better, making it a more high-scoring game. I like the over 46 in that one. Wayne, what say you?
Yeah, I think I'm going over on that one as well because 46 seems about right, but I think it's going to be over than that.
And we're doing two prop bets to fill out the pick six this weekend. Over under 232.5 passing yards for Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, I'm thinking this is going to be a higher offensive scoring game than prior meetings. So I'm seeing a lot of points, a lot of passing yards from Garoppolo. I am going over the 232.5 for Jimmy G.
Yeah, I'm going over as well. In fact, I think it may go over 300, which may have given away a little bit of my next prop pick there.
Well, that's okay. So we're both going over. The over-under on the next one is 75.5 rushing yards for running back Elijah Mitchell. I am going over on that as well for the same reasons. I think they're going to have a great offensive game in order for my bet to work on the over. And I still think the Rams will cover. They'll win by a touchdown, and that's my take. And I'm going over Jimmy G, over Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go under Elijah Mitchell because I think most of the yardage is going to be gained through the air. And Elijah Mitchell will still play a great game, but I think a lot of his yardage is going to come in the red zone, and that's what's going to limit his yardage.
Well, that completes our pick six for the conference championship week. Ladies and gentlemen, final thoughts on tonight's show. I want to say congratulations to David Ortiz on being voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. You have put a lot of smiles on the Red Sox Nation's faces. What a great player you were. In Major League Baseball, the players met Monday and Tuesday. Let's see if they can come to an agreement soon. Those are my final thoughts. Wayne, what's your final thought on the show tonight, buddy?
Well, just I'm excited about Memphis basketball tomorrow. It's going to be a blackout game, so everybody's going to be wearing black in the stands. And it ought to be a good game to redeem ourselves against that loss versus East Carolina a few weeks ago at East Carolina.
Well, there we go. There you have it. Folks, for Wayne, I'm JJ, filling in for Todd Corder. Thanks for listening to ATL Prime Sports. Wherever you're listening, give us a review, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Search everywhere at ATL Prime Sports. We'll see you next time, folks. Get you one. Oh, yeah, we're live Friday, February 4th from 4 to 4:30 on Blog Talk Radio / Mancini Sports. See you later, folks.